we're going to make this cluster stitch. I also think that you might be able to find a pattern that calls it an aligned puff. So the crochet stitch dictionary that I have does have a pattern in there for an aligned puff stitch. However, it uses a half double crochet 3 together to make this cluster, where this pattern is using 4 double crochets together. I do like the look of this better. So if you see a pattern that calls for an aligned puff, just know that it's going to be very similar to this, as far as it has the single crochet, skip 1, chain 1 row, and then it has the cluster row that goes in the skip 1 stitch. So all of that is the same. It's just how you're making the cluster, how many times you yarn over and pull through, that gives it a little bit of a shorter cluster. This one does work up quicker though. I am going to use a 5mm crochet hook. Start with a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 38. You can chain any even number that you want. I've got a foundation chain of 38. And for row 1, we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So chain 1, chain 2. And instead of going in the front of the chain, I'm going to go in the back bump. I just like the way it holds the foundation chain a little bit tighter and doesn't make it loosen up. So we're going to go in that back bump. We're going to do a single crochet. We're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then into the 3rd stitch, put a single crochet, and repeat that. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next one, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. Repeat that pattern all the way to the end of the row, and your last stitch is going to be a single crochet. That's the end of row 1. For row 2, you will chain 3, turn your work, and now we're going to make our cluster stitches. So this is basically 4 double crochets together. So we're going to go into the first chain 1 space. So this right here is your single crochet that you ended the previous row with, and this is your chain 1 space right here. And then that's your single crochet, and that's your chain 1. So into the chain 1 space, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. We're going to do this 2 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. You should have 5 loops on your hook when you're done with your 4 double crochets together, and then yarn over and go through all 5 of those. And then you're going to chain 1 to lock it in place. And we're going to continue that to the end of the row, only going into your chain 1 spaces. This might look like a chain 1 space just because it's kind of pulled a little bit, but you can see where your single crochets are. So then that's the chain 1 space. So basically, if you know how to do a double crochet, it says if you're going to do a double crochet and you do the beginning part of it, but then you stop before you complete it and you go into another double crochet, stop, go into another double crochet, stop, and then do your 4th until you have 5 loops. Yarn over, go through all 5, and chain 1 to lock it in. That's what your clusters should look like. They should lay fairly flat. They should not be puffy like a popcorn stitch or anything like that. So let's do that cluster stitch one more time. And remember, we're going into the chain 1 space. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. 3rd time, go through 2, and the 4th time, go through 2. And now complete it and lock it in. Okay, and I'm going to go all the way to the end of the row with that until you get to your last chain 1 space. Okay, I'm at the end of the row. I'm going to do my last cluster stitch. When you finish that last cluster stitch, you'll have 1 stitch left, and that stitch is going to get a double crochet. Just 1 regular double crochet. That's the end of row 2. So for row 3, you do the same thing as you did for row 1. Except because we're not going into a foundation chain, we just do chain 1, turn your work, and start with a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we chain 1, and we're going to skip this stitch right here, and then we're going to do a single crochet. But instead of going in that stitch, we are going to put our single crochet right here in between the 2 cluster stitches before. So do your single crochet and then chain 1, skip 1, single crochet right in between your clusters, and repeat that. Chain 1, skip 1, Go in between the clusters with a single crochet. Do that all the way to the end of the row. Okay, I just did the single crochet in between the two clusters. So your last stitch is going to be a single crochet, but because you don't have another cluster to go between, we're not going to go in that space because that will kind of pull the edge a little bit. So we're going to go in the actual stitch for the last stitch. So when you look up here, this is the one you're skipping, and we're going to go into that last stitch. So go ahead and do your chain 1 and single crochet in the last stitch. Whoops. Make sure that you're getting the right place. You don't want to have your stitches pulled. Oops. And that way that last single crochet will be tight enough that it will keep that edge straight. And that is all you do for your project. You will repeat rows 2 and 3. So that was row 3 where we went in between the clusters. So then you're going to chain 3 because now we're going to go to row 2. Chain 3, turn your work, and start putting your clusters in. So 1, 2, 3, turn your work, and your clusters are going to go into that chain 1 space just like you did in row 2. Don't forget to lock it in, and then continue on with clusters in every chain 1 space all the way across. Okay, I'm going to make this my last cluster row. And then I want my last row of the project to be single crochets with a skip stitch just like at the beginning. So this will be my last row. Okay, and that is going to be the end of my project. this is mostly considered a reversible pattern. I do think that the front and the back does have a slightly different look to it. So keep that in mind, but you could use it as a reversible pattern.